teacher and some others in other programs to this wonderful workshop with Mr. Tomas Santos의. He is currently serving for 3 countries as a regional English language officer. So for Korea, for Japan, and for Taiwan. So he's like a diplomat in the field of English education. And he has contributed a lot to the betterment of English education in many different areas, countries. And most of all, he's a great teacher, practitioner. Before he joined the U.S. Department of State, he had taught and trained teachers for so many years. He looks young, but he had taught over 20 years before he became the officer. And once he was a Fulbright scholar, or he served as the English language fellow in Korea, and he taught in many different countries, Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary. So he in many ways, it's good to know him, and it's good to interact with him. And right before he joined the U.S. Department of State, he taught in the SIT, School for International Program, graduate school program. There he taught linguistics and classroom practice. And he has some expertise in teaching and theater. That's why he can talk about how to use arts in classroom as well. So, unlike really some scholars with just theory basis, he is such a practitioner with diverse experience in many different cultural settings. So, I almost begged him to come to meet with you today, and today he's going to talk about framework for teacher reflection, how to make ourselves to be a reflective teacher. It'll be the major theme, and then you can contribute a lot too. You're going to challenge him by raising many questions, and most of all, please enjoy the session with him. Give a big hand to Mr. Tomas Santos의.
Thank you. You go over here. This is a little room. Can I talk like this? Can you hear me? Okay. Because I don't like carrying this around. And it's such a small room, and I have a big voice. Yeah, so no worries there. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Fine, thank you. Okay, I have been teaching for a long time, so I know all the stories. Did you know, you probably didn't know this, but this is a little bit of a joke. Today, September 19th, is the official Talk Like a Pirate Day. That's not so stupid. Do you understand? Talk like a pirate? No? Okay. In English, when we want to talk like a pirate, there's in English, old way of talking like a sailor. All right? And there's certain language, there's certain vocabulary, and there's certain pronunciation. So when you say, talk like a pirate, you go, arr! You say, hello, matey! Swab the deck. So it's like talking like a cartoon pirate, with a parrot on your shoulder kind of thing. And there was a writer, a very famous comic writer named Dave Barry in America. And he decided many years ago, he was writing a column in the newspaper, and he said, today is official Talk Like a Pirate Day. And the thing was that everybody, every September 19th after that, it's a joke, it's for fun, right? So I did not remember this. And a colleague of mine in Moscow, he wrote to me. He said, remember, it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. He said, arr, matey, walk the plank. So children, and American children have a joke. You know, little children have simple jokes, right? And so for children, one of children's favorite jokes is, what is a pirate's favorite letter?
Letter?
R. There you go. It's R. So, can I well, I'll go semi-cool biz. Semi-cool biz. Okay, good. So yes, I'm Tomas Santos. I'm the Regional English Language Officer at the embassy here in Seoul. I do English language programming in Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. And as Dr. Young told you, I've known Dr. Young for many years. We are old friends from way back. And as Dr. Young told you, I have been teaching for a very long time. I'm much older than you think I am. My face looks young, but inside is very old. I'm going to be 55 in 2 weeks. Oh, sit down. I should be walking.
You look in your 40s.
Anyway, what's fun here in Korea is when people, strangers say to me, they'll go, 아저씨, 아저씨. And I love being 아저씨. I like being 아저씨. Okay, so what I would ask you to do, I know you are all in-service teachers, right? You are all are you teaching now? Or are you taken out of your school and you're studying full-time? Okay, so you're in that program. All right, good. But you all have classroom experience, which is really great for this workshop, okay? Because this is a little bit different from the average sort of teaching workshop, to be talking about teacher reflection. It's a different sort of topic. And some of you will be coming on Monday, right? Yeah, some of you will be coming Monday to the lecture, right? Some of you, not all of you, I don't know. Okay, great. So let me start. First, let me find out who is in the room. Who here teaches elementary school? Okay, these are our elementary school. Who teaches middle school? Oh, you are going to heaven. All right, you have the hardest job in the world. Middle school, I could not teach middle school because I would kill them. Middle school, I love children. But to have 30, 35 middle school children in one room, you are saints. You are saints. Oh, you are saints. And who teaches high school? Anybody? Okay, good. That's my favorite. I love high school students. They are great fun. Okay. And I like little ones. Preschool. I like preschool and high school. In between, it's exhausting. I taught middle school for a short time. And I would go home every day exhausted. They killed me. It was killing me. Okay, good. So then we have a real variety in the classroom for what the topic we're going to be talking about. What I'm going to ask you to do is, so that we have some, I'll make sure we have some time at the end, collect questions that you have through the workshop. Because many times what happens is that at the end of a workshop I say, are there any questions? And you are all Korean. And what happens? When are there any questions? Everybody goes, right? So to make that more productive, if you have a question, write it down so that we have questions at the end, okay? Give you time to prepare. Okay?
Yes.
All right, good. Are there any questions now?
No.
Okay. So, reflection. What is it to for a teacher to reflect? What is reflection? Look back.
And then think about what the problem is, such a things, and then how can I just address it.
Right? Problem, yeah. Or what? Good things. Right? We can assess the things that go wrong. And things, we are all teachers, we all know things go wrong. Right? But we can also assess good things, when things go well. All right? You walk out of the classroom one day, there are always days you walk out thinking, I am the worst teacher in the world. Right? You feel so bad, that didn't go well, there was a problem, or something challenged you. Okay? But there are those days also where you walk out of the classroom thinking, I am the best teacher. I said everything went exactly as you wanted it to. The children were doing the activity and they were having fun and they were learning and everything went perfectly well. That's a good time to reflect. It's a very good time to reflect. So it's natural, of course, when it goes very badly, it's a good time to reflect. But when it goes really well, it's a good time to reflect. What we're going to do today is first, I'm going to ask you to look, like you said, look back. I'm going to ask you to look back at one lesson that you taught in your career, okay? I can look out, I see we have different ages as well. We've got different levels of experience in the room, because I see some older people, more experienced people, and I see some younger people here as well, okay? So that's great, so we have a real mix. So what I'd like you to do is to pick a language lesson that you remember well, okay? Pick one that went particularly poorly or particularly well. One that went, like, oh, that was terrible. Terrible lesson. Or one that went very, very well. Wow, that's great. And since you are all teachers, you can pick one that was when you were a teacher. But if you can think of a lesson, if you would prefer, if it was a lesson when you were a student, that's another interesting way to look at teaching, all right? You can choose to do that. But since we are all teachers, we can pick a lesson where you were teachers. Then I'm going to ask you to free write on what you remember from the lesson, okay? Free write. Do you know free write? Okay, write. Nobody is going to look at your writing. Nobody is going to criticize your writing. You write whatever comes to mind. Now, what I would like you to think about is that lesson and write about the process. What happened? What were the actions? What were the reactions? What thoughts did you have? What feelings did you have? What was said in the lesson? What was not said in the lesson? Just write down what you remember, everything that you can remember about the lesson itself. Okay? So what I'm trying to do is trying to wake that up. I want to wake up your memory. Right? Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Yes. Yeah? You know how you say that to your students? Do you understand? They all go, yes. And then 2 minutes later, teacher, what are we doing? Happens all the I will probably give you an example of a lesson that I taught that I remember very, very well, that went very badly. It was awful. And I felt really bad after the lesson. But after reflecting, it was a very helpful lesson. Okay? So I'm going to give you 7 minutes to recall the lesson. Yeah? 7 minutes of writing. All right? We'll have some quiet writing. And then we're going to talk through reflection. What is teacher reflection? The aspects of it. And then we'll take a break. We'll come back, and then we're going to look at a framework to help you with teacher reflection. Okay?
Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah.
Don't lie to me. Okay. So please, write for about 7 minutes, please. You can write in Korean if you want. This is not English class. You can write in Korean, write in the most comfortable way for you. Okay? Most comfortable way. Maybe 1 more minute, please. 1 more minute of writing. Okay. Could you just take a couple of minutes, let's take 2 minutes, and just to get more verbalized, could you, everybody talk to the person next to them about this class? All right? Actually, take your piece of paper, turn it over so you can read it. Tell the person next to you, actually, you two, 1, 2. Well, you go that way, and can you talk to the people in front of you? Okay? All right, good. Does everybody have a partner? All right? Yeah, so you 2, but also you'll be you 3. Okay, because she's all by herself. Yeah, she's all by herself. Okay, or maybe not. We have somebody coming. All right. So just take 2 minutes, and just tell your partner about your lesson. Okay? Go. just a little side note. Why did I ask you to talk for 2 minutes? Why did I ask you to do that? What? Yeah, and it's hard to be silent for too long.
Yes.
They have proven that we as human beings, we need to speak. That's real, this is real language, right? Written is only a reflection of language. Okay? It is a representation of language. Language comes from our mouths, goes into our ears. And they have proven that people need to speak. And if you sit silently, you stop listening to, this guy. Okay? So giving our students the chance to react and talk at good intervals, all right? It actually helps them concentrate. Think about yourself. How can you sit for an hour listening to one person speak? It's very difficult. It gives you a chance to react. Okay? Anyway, so back to reflective practice. What I'd like to do now is talk a little bit about what is reflective practice and why. Why do it? Now, this is an uncredited list of the kinds of teachers that there are in the world, okay? So, this helps to describe the kinds of teachers that are out there in the world. The first is a teacher with unconscious incompetence. What does that mean? What does unconscious incompetence mean? Bad teacher. Not necessarily. Instead of saying bad, maybe not as effective as he or she could be. But unconscious, what does that mean? They don't realize, they're not thinking about it, right? They don't think about their teaching. And incompetence, they are not competent, all right? Can you think of an example? You have thousands of examples here in Korea. You can be brave, you can say who those people are. They are unconscious, incompetent teachers.
Teacher who don't know their problems.
Teachers who are usually untrained, so they don't know their problems. They are working on their instincts. Okay? They're just thinking, well, that'll be good. I'll try this. Why not? Okay? They have no background. They have no training. They have no awareness. No knowledge, no skills. All right? And they don't know that they don't have those skills. So a very common person here in Korea who is like that are the foreign Hapwon teachers. Okay? Think about them. They're not bad people. All right? And it's hard to say they are bad teachers. It's kind of negative. But they are incompetent teachers. They are not skilled. They are not knowledgeable like you. All right? And they don't know what they don't know. They are coming with a whole lot of positive energy. All right, oh boy, okay. And they don't always do a good job, but maybe they have lots of positive energy. Okay? So that's very much a novice teacher. Or teacher even before being a novice teacher. A lot of these teachers don't even call themselves teachers. This is just something that they are doing now. Right? And it's not their profession. Now, conscious incompetence. This is really interesting. What is a conscious incompetent teacher? is that?
Don't try to be a better teacher than now status.
There, say it again.
Don't try to be a better teacher than now.
They're not trying to be a better teacher than now? I'm actually going to move that further down. But a conscious, incompetent teacher, what are the conscious? What do they know or don't know? What do they? They're knowledgeable, they're aware of their incompetence. They know that they are incompetent. Maybe they don't know how to fix it. Maybe. Okay? But they know that they are an incompetent teacher. Now that's a very unique kind of person. Okay? Because it's a unique situation. Somebody who's incompetent, but they go, I know I'm not a good teacher. Now, it can be a little bit sad, you know. I had a teacher who, when I was studying Russian, all right, and because I worked in Moscow for a couple of years, and I had a teacher who she was the nicest lady, and she was a Russian speaker, okay, and she was hired because she was a Russian speaker, native Russian speaker, and she had been a music teacher in her past, all right, in Russia. She was a music professor, okay? So she was a university professor of music, and she was a native Russian speaker. So the Institute hired her thinking she's a teacher, she speaks Russian. Put it together. Does that make a good teacher, language teacher? No, it does not necessarily so, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you have a competent teacher. She knew that with me in her class, she knew my background, she knew my job was regional English language arts. So she would ask me for help. She was my teacher, but she would say, oh, Thomas, I know I'm not very, can you help me? Yeah, it was so nice. She was so nice. And so I would come in and give her little ideas on how to run the lesson. Okay? So to help her improve. And then, there were times when I used to take the bus to the Institute. All right? Because I thought, I'll take the bus. Or driving in Washington, D.C. is crazy. Okay, so sometimes I would take public transportation. And she'd say, did you take the bus today? I'd say, yes. She said, I will drive you home. So that she could talk to me, and ask me questions when she was bringing them home. Okay? She is a good example of a conscious, incompetent teacher. All right? She wanted to improve. She actually did, but she didn't know how. And she didn't have the time. She was working full time. So, difficult for her. Difficult, conscious, incompetent teacher. Conscious competence. What is that?
Teachers who want to improve their skills.
Teachers who want to improve their skills.
Actually trying something to improve their skills.
They're doing something to improve their skills. What else about a conscious, competent teacher?
They're a good teacher. They know how to teach.
They know how to teach. And they know how to teach. Right? Right? It's not being arrogant or immodest. Because if I were to say to you, hello, where are you from? I'm from Korea. What do you do? What do you do? I'm a teacher. You label yourself teacher. I have training. I know what to do on Monday morning. I know when children are bad, I know how to take care of that. I am a competent teacher. I know my profession. Okay? So a competent teacher who knows it. Okay? Who's conscious of it. Then we get to the last one, an unconscious competency. This one's more complex. This one's very complex because there's different kinds of people here. There's two kinds, actually, at opposite ends of the experience spectrum. There are novice teachers or unconscious competent teachers. They don't know it, but they are very good. Maybe they have good instincts. Maybe they are very intelligent. But they are very good teachers, but they don't know. And if you were to say to them, you know, what do you do? Oh, I'm a teacher. And are you a good teacher? I don't know. I'm just trying the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. But the director or the principal thinks, oh, she is a wonderful teacher. She's great. But she doesn't know it. Maybe she needs more training to gain more confidence, right? The opposite end of the spectrum, the unconscious competent teacher, is the teacher who has been teaching for so long. They just do it like, I mean, think about you more veteran teachers. Teachers here who have been teaching for some time. You spend less time preparing than you did 10, 15, 20 years ago. Right? Novice teachers take a lot of time to prepare. Veteran teachers know, okay, pull that out, do that, okay, I'm ready. Right? They're not being conscious, they're just reacting. They're very good, wonderful teachers who don't have to work too hard at it anymore. That is the definition of a veteran teacher. Right? They do it more naturally. So that's the unconscious competent teacher. What are you? Where are you here? You don't have to say, I'm unconscious and I'm incompetent. You don't have to say, but think about it. Where are you on this spectrum right now? Where do you sit in your career? All right? I can guess where you think you are. Okay, I can guess. I'm going to give you another stages of a teacher's life. All right? This one, I like this one too because it talks about a teacher's life in a different way and in a more enjoyable way. Because if you look at the first, where is the beginning? Help! It's not help, it's help! Right? What kind of teacher is that? Novice. That's a novice teacher who, oh my gosh, I need help. I was, many years ago, I was teaching in the United States at a college outside Boston. And we had just hired a young woman. She just came out of teaching school. One morning, I needed to make some copies of something for my students. So I went running into the office to make my copies, and she was standing at the copy machine making copies and crying. I know, this is what's wrong. And she says, I don't know if this is going to work. She was falling apart. She was saying, help! She says, I'm trying to put together the lesson, but they said in school that this should be a lesson that's integrated with. I said, relax. Relax. I said, how long do you think you will be a teacher? Well, I don't know. I think about if it's the rest of your life. This is only one day. In a long process. Just do this and learn from it. She said, okay. So the reflection. And off she went to class. So that's help. Then she probably will then move into have a go. What does that mean, to have a go? To try. She's going to be like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'll give it a try. Alright? Maybe the students will hate it. Maybe they will love it. Maybe it will work. Maybe it will not. I don't know. Well, I have a little bit of experience. I'm going to give it a go. Let's see what happens. Alright? And then learn from that. Then there's hit and miss. The teacher knows that some days are good and some days are bad. Some things work, some things don't work. That's life. Alright? There are some bad days and there are good days. It's hit and miss. I'm still experimenting as a teacher. I've been teaching for a few years, but I still don't know for sure. Okay? And then to be a sound teacher. Do you know what to be sound, to be solid? Alright? Then the teacher moves into a period of being just a solid teacher, knowing what they're doing. They have more good days than bad days, more solid days than bad days. Okay? Then we're called relative mastery. A master, what does a master do? What does a master teacher do? Teaches other teachers. Okay, a relative mastery is a teacher who is not only sound, solid, but can also pass knowledge on to other teachers. All right, so to a certain extent. And then there's the teacher where it is second nature. All right, they don't have to think about it. They don't have to think about it. I'll give you a good example of second nature. When I was in my Russian class, I had, and I knew this kind of person because she's like me. She's like me. She's about my age, and she's been teaching for many, many years, professional language teacher. She came in as a substitute one day, and she had no plan. And she went to us. She said, "Okay, what have you been doing?" We told her. She said, "Okay, and how long have you been working on that? Okay. And what part of the curriculum are you in?" She asked all sorts of questions, and she went, you can see her think. Yeah? You can see her just go, lesson plan, lesson plan, lesson plan, lesson plan. Okay, now, here's what, and then she built a lesson plan immediately. Right in front of my eyes. And I am a teacher trainer. My job is to train teachers. And I'm sitting there going, she's wonderful. Because I observe teachers. I have been doing it for 10 years. I have been observing other teachers teach. And giving them help and criticizing and helping them with their teaching. And here's this older woman, and she is second nature. She's more than a master. Right? She just, you could see her eyes, you could see in her eyes. She wasn't looking at us, she was going, and all she said is, okay, everybody, could you, and then she just, boom, 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 put the class. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, okay? So, where are you on this? Alright, where are you now? Hit and miss? Are some of you on sound? You know, I'm not stressed out. It doesn't stress me out to go to school to teach. I can do this. I can do this. Relative mastery. Some of you who've been doing this for a long time, you can tell other people what works and what doesn't work. Okay? Now, if I ask the question, I'm just gonna. Okay. Technology. Okay. So if I ask you the question, if we look at these two frameworks, I'm going to ask you the question, why reflect on your teaching? Why do it? To teach better. To teach better. Very motivated. To be more specific. We all want to teach. Do we all want to teach better? You're like, no, I don't know. Okay, to teach better. But if we reflect on our teaching, Why do that? Teach better. How?
Reduce mistakes.
Sorry? To reduce mistakes. I don't like the word mistakes because you're trying your best. All right? I don't like the word because I don't think, well, it feels like a mistake. You know, that day when everything feels like, oh God, I made so many mistakes. Right? But there are errors that you can correct. Okay? It's challenges, it's problems, whatever. But I understand what you mean. Okay? So to reduce the number of mistakes. What else? Why reflect on your own teaching?
The experience, enjoy my lesson more much better. And
The students will enjoy
they
it
realize they're progressing through my instruction.
through your teaching. As you improve your teaching, helping them understand as they see their own learning. And that's very current, that's a very modern, up-to-date thing, is helping our students be able to talk about their own learning. It's very motivational. Because students are not used to saying, oh, today was a good day, I learned a lot today. Right? Those of you who are mamas, those of you who are mothers, all right? Yeah? Okay. Who have school-age children, all right? They come home and you say to them, what did you learn in school today?
Nothing.
Nothing. What did you do? Nothing. And you think, okay, I don't pay all this money for you to do nothing. You better have done something in school. It's because they cannot articulate. They're not mature enough to articulate their learning. So teachers can get their students to articulate their learning. It's very motivational. And it's the same for you to become a better teacher. If you can articulate your teaching, you can learn from it and improve your teaching so that the students, they themselves enjoy it. And it's more effective teaching. Okay? I always say, I don't want my students to like me. I don't want my students to love me. I don't need them to love me. I have my family, I have my friends. I need for them to learn. If they love me, that's great. But if they learn, I'm doing my job. Right? And for a lot of teachers, when I was working in other countries, their goal was to be loved. And I said, wrong. They're learning, they respect you. Maybe they love you. I had a student one time, I was teaching high school many years ago, and she hated me. Hated me. She was 17 years old. Right? There's lots of reasons why she hated me. You know, but she's 17, she's just a girl. It didn't bother me. But I knew she was learning. I didn't care if she liked me or not. She was learning. She'd look at me like, oh, I hate you. You know, you look at her, hated me. Fine, no problem. Is she learning? I'm happy. Okay? So it's the same kind of thing for you. What you want for your students, you need to want for yourself. I want to improve my teaching. I want to be a reflective teacher so I can improve. Okay? We'll talk a bit more about that. And before we take a break, I'm just going to give you this wonderful quote from John Dewey. Do you know John Dewey? Have you ever heard the name?
Yeah.
He was a revolutionary educator in the United States 100 years ago. He wanted to change the very old-fashioned, very conservative, very traditional, very ineffective educational practices in the United States. And this is, I love this, and it's just right on what is reflection. And he writes, thought affords the sole method of escape from purely impulsive or purely routine action. Okay? Translate that is if you reflect, if you take time to think with your thought, it gives you an opportunity to not just teach from your impulses. Well, like I said, the unconscious incompetent. Oh well, I'll try it. It feels good. Why not? We'll play a game. We'll do a song. Not even thinking about what they're doing. The other is the purely routine. This is the way I have always done it. I do it this way every year. This is the same lesson. It's all fun. I don't. The kids. How do the kids? The kids love it. How do you know? I don't know. Kids. The kids love it. No, they hate it. All right. The purely routine, doing the same thing every day. No. So stopping to think about your teaching gives you an opportunity to escape from this impulsive teaching or this routine. Do you understand? Yes? Maybe? Yes. Okay. Okay, good. Let's take a 10-minute break. Okay, get some air, stretch your muscles. We'll come back and then I have an activity for you, okay? Structure. It cannot just be, I'll make myself a cup of tea and I'll sit and I'll think. All right? Well, how are you thinking? What is helping you focus on that? Because if you just sit and think, you will get distracted. All right? And it's too general. Teacher reflection is about linking theory and practice. Many of you have had a lot of theory. It's over here, right? And many of you, all of you, have had a lot of practice. And a lot of times, theory is over here, and practice is over there. And this has nothing to do with that. Everything you studied in school, that was interesting. Now I'm trying to teach these little monsters. Right? The practicality of everyday. Those of you who said you are middle school teachers, sometimes it is just survival. It's true. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because children that age are really difficult. All right? They're wonderful. They're lovely. They're great, great little human beings. But they also are little monsters. Okay? So how do you take the theory of how to teach middle school kids and the practice and bring them together? Because the theory is there for a reason. The theory is there to help you. So if you can start linking your practice to the theory, it can help your practice. It can flow both ways. And the way to do that is through reflection. Sitting down and going, now I remember that, I don't know, the silent way. Did you study the silent way in school, some of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember Caleb Gittenyo, a lot of the theoreticians, or some methodology, okay? You know what? I want to look more into that so that I'm going to try to include some of that in my lessons. Well, how am I going to do that? And so you have to be methodical about it. Teacher reflection has to do with learning. That's the goal. All right? If the goal is to make my class more enjoyable so that there's better learning. I'm reflecting in order, my goal is to solve these mistakes so that there is better learning. The goal is always learning. Okay? Oh, heavy. Very serious. But the goal is always learning. me as a teacher, very, very much. Because I would ask myself, are the students learning? Are they learning? Ooh, I don't know. Or, ooh, no, that class actually was a bad class because there was no learning. Or, oh, that was a really good class. That was actually a better class than I thought. Because they didn't just learn some, they learned a lot. Right? So, students enjoy it. The goal of the students enjoying the lesson, that's not the end. Because enjoyment, well, you could just sing songs and eat candy. They will enjoy that, right? But they won't learn anything. So we have to get them to learn. And it is about change and development. This is really important because you have got to want to change. You have got to want to develop. Not all teachers want to develop. A lot of teachers are like, I'm happy right where I am. I'm happy as I am. I go to workshops and I sit and I smile, but I don't listen. Right? I don't care. I'm fine. I'm solid. Remember? I'm solid. I'm a good teacher. I'm a solid teacher. I don't want to develop. That's it. I'm finished. Okay? But in order to reflect, it has to be about change. It has to be about improvement. It has to be about development as a teacher. Okay? Really important. This is like the most important slide. This is the important slide, okay? By the way, they have copied this PowerPoint, and you can get this PowerPoint from the staff here, okay? You just ask, and they can give it to you electronically. I am free with my stuff. Here, take it. Steal it, take it, run away. I don't. Okay? So, we're defining teacher reflection. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a framework that was given to me by a woman named Tessa Woodward. Tessa Woodward is one of the best teacher trainers I have ever met in the world. She is from England, okay? You know, don't tell the ambassador, okay? Tessa Woodward is from England, but she's the nicest lady. She's so, and she's brilliant. Brilliant teacher trainer. So I got this from her about teacher training. So what I would like you to do is get a piece of paper, and I want you to divide your paper into four columns, okay? We're only going to work with 3 columns today, but there's a 4th column. At the top of the first column is steps. Second column is called phases. Third column is called assumptions. The last column is called archaeology. Now, I put archaeology in parentheses because we are not going to work with that today, but I want to introduce it to you. Okay? All right? So what you're going to do is the lesson that you wrote about at the beginning of our session. I want you to fit that lesson into this framework. All right? Now, I will explain each part before you do it, okay? So that you understand. Now, in thinking about the lesson that you wrote about, steps, what happened? Cold data. What is cold data? What is cold data? Facts. All right? Cold. No emotion, no thought, no reflection, just cold data. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Just the facts. Okay? So in this column, you would write down what was the very first thing that you did. I don't know. Let me give you an example of when I used to teach English. I would write, turned on music. I always put music on before my students arrived. Okay? Turn on music. Then greet students. Write schedule on the blackboard. Write the schedule of the class on the blackboard. Turn off the music. Greet students. Ask for any questions. Tell students to get into their homework groups. Students get into homework groups. Now, homework correction time. Students correct their homework in groups. That's the way I used to do it. We would have homework groups where they would correct their homework with each other first. Then they could only ask for clarification from the teacher when there was a problem. So that they became teachers of each other. All right? So then, other fact, teacher walks around the room, okay, and assists groups. Teacher writes problems on the blackboard. Students discuss homework. And then continue through the lesson, okay? So I would just keep writing down just exactly what, just the facts, exactly what happened. All right? Then when I'm finished with that, the next is the phases. Put the lesson in logical chunks, such as introduction, warm-up, practice, whatever. So you take all those actions and you make a block. So from what I just said, turn the music on, greet the students, write the homework, write the schedule of the lesson on the blackboard, turn the music off. What chunk is that? Introduction or pre-lesson, or whatever I want to call it. I can call it whatever I want to call it. You know, preparation for the lesson, before the start of the lesson. Then the next thing was ask students if they have any questions. That actually might be a whole block of, greet students, ask if they have any questions. That could be introduction. All right? Next block, tell students to get into homework groups. Students correct their homework. Teacher walks around. Teacher writes problems on the blackboard. Homework. That's the homework section. So I chunk each part out all the way through the lesson till the end. Okay? Then the next thing we do is under assumptions is what assumptions of good teaching are being shown in the steps and phases. Why did you make these choices? And so you go, okay, so introduction, turned on music. Oh, a good atmosphere is important. What else? Greet the students. Good relationship with students is important. What else? Turn off music. Don't distract when I'm speaking. All right? Why did you do these steps or these phrases? Why, within the homework thing, why do I do it that way? I would write in my assumption for the whole block. Students can correct their own homework, and they can help each other. That is my assumption, my belief. I believe students can help each other, and that they learn best from each other more than from the teacher. Okay? So that's my belief. That is my assumption of why I put them into groups to correct their homework, why I step back. This was many years ago. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to take your lesson. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to do this. Don't think that you have, one, you can do it in, you can write in Korean. It's not English class, okay? Also, you can talk to the people next to you. This is, you can say, oh, how do you say this? You can help each other to build this, this framework, okay? I will explain this fourth part after we are done, okay? I will explain that part later. but I just want you to do these 3. Okay? Do the best you can. All right? Do the best you can. Write down your steps, write down your phases, and write down your assumptions. Work as quickly as you can. Don't think too deeply about it. Don't think, don't get heavy, and, like this is prison. It's not. Okay? It should be enjoyable. All right? Feel free to talk to your colleagues, have them help you. All right? Also, you can raise your hand. I will come over and help you if you need help. I will help you with this. I want you to practice this framework. Okay? Give it a try? Nah. Are there any questions? Any questions? No, never. Okay, give it a try. I'll give you 10 minutes to try this framework. Do the best you can. That one works every time. Okay, good. Now, just to wrap up this particular framework, any sort of structured teacher reflection that you are going to do, because this is only one. Just I'm offering this to you as, here's one way. There are many ways. You can Google, go online and research. You'll find many different ways. Some of them are just going to simply ask you questions, all right? But it's basically the same thing. What happened and why did you do it that way? What happened and why? What happened and why? And a lot of times what will happen is your answer will come very quickly. Just by taking time to write it all down. Then you'll go, oh! Because it might be in the what happened. It might be in the why did I do it. Sometimes you get to here and you cannot explain why you did it. There's your problem. You don't know why you did it. Or you did it for a very not a good reason. Right? I did it because I wanted to do something different. Does that lead to learning? Maybe, maybe not. Okay? So that is basically what teacher reflection is what happened, what was the process, and then why did you choose to do it that way? And in many instances, there's where when you have a problem and there you make a mistake. That's where your answer will come. You'll go, oh, of course, that's why I didn't do, or I did. Okay? There's always some reason why. Which brings me back to the bad teacher. Every teacher has a bad day. Every teacher has a bad lesson. Doesn't mean you are a bad teacher. It means you had a bad lesson. And I'm going to give you my bad lesson. This was one of my worst. Oh my God. I was teaching graduate school. I was teaching classroom practice. Okay? We were doing the 4 skills. And we were in the speaking skill. And I had about 25 students. Okay? They were all adults. Most of them were in their 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s. So these are adults. Most of them are experienced teachers, right? And they were acting like kindergartners. And I had decided that I wanted to do something different with the lesson. The lesson I had planned, I didn't like. And I wanted to get towards this idea of language chunks and discourse. And I had this whole big idea of how I wanted them to look at the speech act, the act of speaking, and speech acts, and how we speak and react. Okay, so I had this whole lesson plan. Oh, it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful lesson I had ever designed. I was so proud of myself. And I went in, and they did not want to do it. Instead of writing real, they started writing jokes into the conversations and making, they were having fun. They were acting like children. Okay? I got more and more and more frustrated. And they were getting more and more silly. And I was like, this is graduate school. What's wrong with you people? And at one point I stopped and said, what is the problem? Why are you not doing the lesson as planned? And somebody said, just like a child, somebody said, because this is stupid. Oh, it's right. I said, okay, so let's just finish the lesson, so forth. They left, I went home, and I was angry, and I was hurt, and I was the worst teacher in the world. So when the extreme emotions, it's a good time to reflect. What went wrong? So I did something similar to this. I wrote down everything that happened, and I wrote down why I was doing it. Okay. I have to do this so I don't end up killing somebody. You know, I'm going right through the paper, you know, making holes in the paper. And by writing it all out, it dawned on me what went wrong. And it really had nothing to do with the steps or the assumptions. It had to do with, it dawned on me, I was introducing new concepts, big concepts, in an experimental way, okay, that I thought would be fun and interesting. But it was the last class on a Friday afternoon. Thank you. Can you ever introduce new material on a Friday afternoon? Never do that. Because it's Friday afternoon now, right? Where are your minds? What are you thinking about right now? Oh, you want to go home. You want to have your dinner. Tomorrow is Saturday. Then Sunday. It's supposed to be beautiful weather all weekend. It's going to be gorgeous. Do you care a lot about teacher reflection? No. Oh. You want to go home. Never introduce new material on a Friday afternoon. That's what I did. They were graduate students. They were exhausted. They had been working all week. And I thought that was probably it. They were tired. And I gave them something very deep and very philosophical. Very speech acts and their action and reaction of the human. I was trying, big. And they were like, can we just play a game? You know, they just wanted to have some fun. So sometimes your results aren't exactly in these pieces. Sometimes it's just, oh, right. I forgot to do something. I didn't give good instruction. A lot of times if you're going through the steps and you go, instruction, ooh, I gave bad instruction. They didn't understand what they were doing. I didn't take time to check with them on their understanding of the instruction. They did not understand what they were doing. That's why the lesson went badly. So a lot of times, just by going through the pieces, it can reveal that to you. Now, this fourth column from Tessa, this fourth column is just a broader look at your own, it goes back to development, teacher development. Why do you do those things? What in your archaeology, in your background, in your history, informs your beliefs, right? Informs your assumptions. So it might be studying the silent way. It might be communicative. I'm trying to be more communicative. The communicative approach is the most effective. There are certain beliefs in your background, in your philosophy of teaching, that inform your beliefs, which inform your actions. So that's why she has this other column. Normally, I don't use this. When I was reflecting on my teaching, usually I didn't use this column because it's more added. You know, you can if you want, or not. You can take all of this and throw it away. Doesn't matter, okay? But if you go back to that important slide, right? If you go back to teacher reflection, however you do it, it is deliberate, purposeful, structured, links theory and practice, has to do with learning and change and development. This is the important part. How you do it is up to you. There is no reflection police. is that you are not reflecting properly. All right? No such thing. All right? So it's up to you how you do it. Okay? I'm going to skip that because we don't have the time. Then here's the last question I have. When do you reflect? Now that we have looked at it all, how often should a teacher take time to reflect? Regularly? Often? Sometimes? Always? Only when problems arise? What do you think? Sometimes? Regularly? The question, the answer is yes, 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 yes. Whatever works for you. Okay? Me, I reflect when problems arise. I don't have time to do it all the time. Okay? I had a colleague of mine. She would, once a year, she would take an entire month, and she was an older teacher. She had been teaching for many, many, many years. She got her master's at Harvard University. She was a wonderful teacher. And once a year, she would pick a month, and that would be her reflection month. That's it. And she would, every day, she would do she had a structured framework that she worked with. I don't even know her framework. She never shared it with me. I don't know what she did. But she would write everything down. She worked on it for 1 month a year. And then she forgot about it. All right? I would not say always, because it will make you crazy. All right? You don't want to be reflecting all the time. You'll go out of your mind. All right? So reflecting when you want. What works for you? Is it often? Sometimes? Rarely? It's up to you. Okay? But you have to do it. You don't let somebody else tell you when to reflect. You are the boss. You reflect when you want. Is that clear? Yes. Okay. So, that's my email if you ever want to reach me. Now I'm going to ask the very I love how people take notes these days. I love it. Take a note. No. That's brilliant. No, it's good. I like it. It's great. It's no problem. It's so modern. It's so now, you know. That's okay. Click. I'm done. It's easy. It's brilliant. I've done it. I do it all the time. I'm going to ask the really difficult question. Are there any questions? Yay!
So, in your experience, how did you harmonize fun and learning in Friday afternoon? Because there's always students who want to learn something even in Friday afternoon.
Right.
Yeah,
how do you bring those two together? Well, there are certain rules. One is, of course, never introduce new material. Do something that will distract them. Because you know their minds are on the weekend. Their mind is thinking, it's the end of the day, it's the end of the week, it's the end of the week, it's the end of the week, it's the end of the week. And they're looking at the clock and looking at the clock. Okay? So any fun activity that you would choose has to have a language base. All right? Because fun for its own sake is not why they're in school. So if it's a game you find online but it has a language base, that's great. So that they are learning, but maybe they don't know they are learning. Or they know, oh yeah, this is language, we're playing this game, and I have to speak English in the game, okay. But it is, they're not, the amount of learning, of acquisition, that they can have at the end of the day is very, very little. So no matter what you plan, just understand that what's going in is very little. It's like the last 10 minutes before lunch, right? You cannot teach children 10 minutes before lunch because they are thinking about lunch. And they are not listening to you, they are not listening to their classmates, they are not learning. And I've seen teachers for years trying to teach 10 minutes before lunch. And I said, that's ridiculous, because the kids are kids. Children are children. You cannot stop that. And remember when you were children, 10 minutes before lunch you were doing this with the clock. You know, and it just moves so slowly. God, that's all you could think about. Same thing as Friday afternoon kind of thing. And that's the last hour, 2 hours. All they're thinking about is get me out of here. All right? So how do you lighten that up? And I remember when I was a child, Friday afternoons that the teachers give us something light to do, would give us something enjoyable to do, that was still educational. For me, I would always go, thank you, teacher. Thank you for that. Oh. Because Friday afternoon can be very heavy. Right? It can be a very heavy time. So you balance, you're the boss, but I would say the fun needs to be educational. All right? It might be practicing our songs, our poems. It might be a video that has, you know, and then you have questions. You do comprehension with a video.
But how you have your classes always on Friday? You never.
It's the same group every Friday. Yeah, well, then there's not much you can do. That group, well, I mean, come on, if it's the one group and it's every Friday.
Every Friday, like 4 p.m.
That's when you have them?
No, it's not my case.
Oh, that's your
I'm just part of 6 months.
If, you know, there are some, that's the case, then you do the best you can. I mean, my God, 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and that's the one time you see them?
Yeah, what do you? No, there's no way.
Throw yourself off the building. I don't know. I would, you know, I understand what you're talking about. I had a lesson. I'm trying to remember. I remember I taught once a week. Oh, I remember what it was. I think it was a teacher trainee. These were like you, just like your program, but they would come once or twice a week. Usually once a week. And I had each group once or twice a week. And this group was elementary school teachers. No, middle school teachers. And I had them, seriously, at 7:30 on Monday evening. And they had to travel from different parts of the city to get there. So they had to leave early to get to a teacher training class of 2 hours before they went to school and had to teach all day. I had the one class that everybody went, oh, Thomas, you have the word, that's the word. What you do for them, I was actually extra nice to them. I knew I had to be patient, that they were tired, they were frustrated. This was every Monday for 10 months. I saw them. And it was required. They had to go. So they were not happy teachers. So I took as opposed to Wednesday at 10 o'clock or whatever, any of the others, I took a very soft, gentle approach. All right? So I actually treated them differently. All right? So there's no one, there cannot possibly be one answer to a difficult time slot. You have to feel it out. You feel what happens. I did teach Friday afternoon sometimes. One group, one lesson, Friday afternoon from 3:30 to 5. University students. Test preparation. And wow, that was difficult. And I made lots of jokes. And I took a very sort of soft approach. I was very gentle with them. You know, But they had to go. It was very hard. And they were very tired. But we'll get it over. So every group is different. You really know one answer. You know? Okay, we're at the end. I have one question, and then I have to finish. Okay, thank you very much for your question. Okay, good. So thank you very much. Good luck to you. I will see some of you on Monday, and there's my email if you need. Okay?